Chapter 2. The Blind Leading the Blind. Heavy has a separate little crew he runs with. All of them are hotheads with no fear, just like him. There's one guy in particular that I never really cared for. His name is Tony. He calls himself Tony the Savage. He's a couple years older than me, but I have more rank than him within the organization. He's loud, power-hungry, and I can tell he's a snake. I've told Heavy more than once to keep an eye on him, but everyone likes Tony because he's down for whatever. Talk about the blind leading the blind. With those two together, there's no telling what trouble they will get into. And trouble is exactly what happened next. Heavy told me he got a tip about a stash house across town. It's supposed to have at least $50,000 inside, and he was going to rob it. I told him we couldn't just do that. We would have to get permission from the organization. Our laws required us to go through proper protocol, and we couldn't cause any unjust heat to the organization. I didn't want any part of it, and I told Heavy he shouldn't either. But I know Heavy. He's loyal, but hard-headed. He doesn't think, he just reacts. I knew he would go anyway, and it wouldn't be the first time. But since he was like a brother to me, once again, I looked the other way. All I could do was just shake my head and hope God would protect my brother. That night, I got the call that changed my life. Heavy had been killed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My heart sank. He was the last anchor holding me down in this life of storms. My mom abandoned me, my dad was murdered, and now this. I lost it. Life as I knew it had slipped away. I already knew what I had to do. Nothing mattered anymore. My neck turned stiff. My mind shut down, and I was blinded by the thought of revenge. Turns out Heavy's tip about the stash house was really a setup. It was a girl that told him about it. It was a double agent, working for some guys Heavy and Tony had robbed a year ago. One of Heavy's boys from his crew came to the house and told me exactly what happened. I was shocked when I found out who it was that killed them. They were high-ranking officers from a rival organization. By law, I would have to get his hit signed off. But I didn't care. Up to now, this would be the only time I went against the code I grew up swearing my life to. Tony showed up that night also. He told me where to find the guys who killed Heavy. I should have been suspicious then, but I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't take any of my crew with me. There's no telling what our organization would do to them for breaking the laws and possibly starting a war. It was my problem, and I was going to handle it. So I strapped up and headed out. I had Tony drive me to where they were. He parked the van around the corner. I told him if I didn't come out in 20 minutes, to go ahead and leave. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to come out alive. You can imagine my surprise when I woke up the next morning, lying in bed at me and Heavy's stash house. It was a place no one else knew about. We kept the bulk of our guns, money, and drugs there. I took Lil J by there a couple times, but I told him it was one of my suppliers' houses. I always parked around back and left him in the car so he didn't see I had keys to the front door. Sometimes, Heavy and I would go there just to relax and get some peace of mind. Man, I still can't believe he's gone. My body is so sore from last night. I ran my hand across the bulletproof vest I fell asleep in and counted 3 bullets still lodged in it. I can't remember all that happened, except there was a lot of gun flashes and screaming in the house. I couldn't have been in there more than 5 minutes when I ran down the back steps and made it to where the van was parked. Tony was already gone, so I had to make it here on my own. My legs are so sore. They hurt to even move. It feels like I ran all night. So I just laid there trying to piece together what had happened. A little while later, the phone rings. I already know who it is. I let it ring again, debating if I should just let it go straight to voicemail. There are always consequences for our actions, and I knew I was about to find out mine. I answered the phone while struggling to sit up with pain shooting through my body. Yes, sir, the voice from the other end said. You know I love you like a son. Me and your dad go back a long way. That's the reason I'm calling you. It's my dad's old friend KD, who took me under his wing when I was a shorty. He told me about respect, loyalty, and honoring the code of the organization. I looked up to him like a father figure. When he wasn't in jail, There was nothing I couldn't call him up and ask him for. Even though he's been locked up for the past 4 years, he got me to where I am today. For as long as I can remember, KD has been a board member for our organization. The board members are second in charge only to the chairman. You could say I came up the ranks quick because of KD and his influence within the organization. What I did last night was bring undue heat to the organization, not only from a rival gang, but also from the police. KD always told me that no person is greater than the organization, something I taught and preached to my guys often as well. KD said on the phone that the consequences for my actions could mean death for me and that the board would be meeting to discuss my fate. His suggestion was for me to lay low for a while and get out of town if possible. Then he hung up. I laid back on the bed grimacing in pain, thinking how fast my life has just changed, and wondering what the next phone call from KD might sound like. I reached my hand out and felt around for the piece of paper lying next to my phone. I stared at it. It is the folded piece of paper my mom had put in my hand the last time I seen her. It has my uncle's phone number on it. I don't even know him. All I know is everyone called him G, that he's my dad's younger brother, and that he went away to California on a basketball scholarship and never came back. When I was young, hungry, and homeless, I used to dream he would come back to Chicago and rescue me. But the knots from my starving stomach and the cold air from the Chicago winters would wake me up to the harsh reality that no one was coming to save me. I started to throw his number away the day my mom gave it to me, but something wouldn't let me. I guess I kept it for a time like this. He answered on the first ring.
Hello?
I paused briefly. Is G there?
This is Geronimo.
This is CJ, I said awkwardly. Another brief pause, this time by him.
My nephew, CJ?
He sounded confused. I murmured. Yeah. After a brief conversation, we hang up. The next thing I know, he has me on a flight to California. Next stop, LAX.